Jelly Roll's change is really amazing. Crazy. Take a look. In January 2024, Jelly Roll got up on stage and promised something. To 20,000 fans, he was $563 and told her he'd be half that size in a year. People laughed. They didn't know he had already made hire of 3 trainers, nutritionists, and spent $500,000 on after 6 months, he'd used the mobile cryo chamber. She lost 150 pounds, but the real change began a lot earlier. This is the story who sold drugs and overdosed twice, spent years in prison, and became Jelly Roll is the biggest name in country music. Was born Jason Bradley DeFord on December 4, 1984. He grew up in Antioch in Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. Not a nice spot for crime, drugs, and poor people were everywhere in his home life. Wasn't much better. His mom Donna had had serious mental health issues, and his father, Buddy, was hooked on drugs. He worked in a meat shop and as a bookie for gambling without a license. That meant he was Jelly Roll, the youngest of. There were 4 kids left in the middle of his mother called him Jelly because he was a mess. Roll him because he was fat. No one thought that name would become well known. Even as a child, he was interested in music. He wrote his first rap when he was 9 years old. But Antioch streets had by age 12, he had seen shootings in their cars, and they lost a cousin to gang crime. He didn't go to school very often. He said he didn't know a single person who had a steady job when they were young. Most of the people he saw lived off of crime, or by age 14, he could name a lot of drugs and how much they cost, but couldn't do simple math. That same year, when he was 14, caught for the first time, they were caught stealing pot and cigarettes. It was the beginning of a pattern for the next 10 years, jail became a second home. But while they were in jail, something strange happened on September 3, 2000, while he was locked up in his cell, Davidson County Juvenile Hall, Block D. Jelly Roll picked up they wouldn't even let him have the pencil on. He wrote on the back of a commissary form rap song all the way through. He was only 15 years old. He could escape with music. Singing about cars or parties, he sang about hurting, about Antioch, about the truth he lived. He looked up to rappers like 36 UGK and Mafia artists who kept it real. He had written more than 100 songs by the time he was 17. In prison then. In 2002, something changed at a talent show he did at the Woodland Hills Youth Center. He wrote a song called Streets Don't Love No One. A music teacher who comes to the center heard him and saw great talent. They helped him make his first MP3 tape. He borrowed all the gear he needed, was able to, and recorded 5 tracks. It wasn't shiny, but it was strong. That he took his first step out of the darkness. Jelly Roll released his that he made. It was called Halfway House. And he stuck all 18 songs on his mom's basement in Antioch. The songs were about his hard life and his hopes for one better. Song Hate Goes On got people's attention. It began performing in clubs and on the radio. It was played on 101.1 thousands of times in just a few days. For months, Jelly Roll didn't have any big. He only had $500 left. He made 1,000 CDs with it and sold them so he could find them at gas stations. He did so, barbershops, and from his trunk car. One more song, Think I Give a, featured a rapper from the area named Hashtag. Its music video got a lot of views. Lots of views on YouTube. People began to pay attention, but his is playing behind the music. Things were crazy in my life. Drugs had been he was a part of it from the beginning. By age 12, he was 13 years old and already smoking pot and drinking. In his 15th year, he was selling drugs to stay alive and help his mom. First tobacco, weed, and pills were next. His name spread through the streets. It got worse over time. When he was 18, he was using a mix of drugs that were bad for them every day: cocaine, Xanax, codeine. 2006, almost the end of everything. He took too much after mixing cocaine, MDMA, and he was drunk, and his heart stopped for 2 full minutes. Paramedics saved his life. But that didn't stop him. He kept using. It wasn't until he got back to prison in 2008 that something finally changed. He joined a 12-step program, began writing music for a hit, but to stay alive, music became getting help. Then the big break in 2009, an American rapper named Lil White found the 10-minute freestyle by Jelly Rolls on YouTube. He got in touch with them and they made a song. They made a song called Pop Another Pill. It dropped on April 20, 2009, and I thought it would blow up, but it did. A huge number of people watched it online. Suddenly, Jelly Roll wasn't just a nearby business. No longer act with Lil White and BPZ, another rapper, and they made a group known as SNO, which stands for Stoners Night Out. In 2011, they came out with Year Round is an album that DJ Paul made. And 36 Mafia's Juicy J. The album it made it to the Billboard charts. Still, from 2005 to 2010, Jelly Roll didn't slow down. He put out 27 different projects in 2015. Albums, mixtapes, and EPs. He worked, toured all the time, and shared everything on YouTube. Fans was linked because he was honest. He even began getting together at Waffle House. People would drive for hours just to meet him. These get-togethers turned into a big deal. They weren't just events. Fans will never forget when Jelly Roll wanted to do more than just make music. He wished to make people feel seen. Shared his problems so others could understand, wouldn't be alone. Music kept me alive, try to live my life, he once said. To save other people. In 2013, Jelly Roll was about to put out a new LP that he was going to name Whiskey Weed and Waffle House, a fun nod to the and he loved that southern restaurant. But just weeks before it comes out on July 15, it all changed when Waffle House sent him in writing that they would sue him if he didn't stop use their name and logo. Did damage to the project. Instead, Jelly Roll made it a moment. He changed the name. Whiskey Weed and Women and Whiskey, slapped a big stop card on them on the cover. It was brave, funny, and smart. A lot of people saw that. The album dropped on August 6 with 22 tracks that mixed country and hip-hop. Songs like Animal and Sunday Morning stood out. They were honest and full of grit. The album got into the R&B charts on Billboard at number 50 on the hip-hop chart, only 1 copies in the first week. Might not sound like much, but foreign fans loved how it felt real. But the title track didn't chart, but it had more than 15 million by 2024 streams. It became a song for the underground. Still, Jelly Roll's mix of styles made a lot of things got complicated from 2013 to 2020. Released music over and over, but no one knew just the right size. One year he leaned like country and outlaw rock with When Willie and Juan Were Together. In 2016, Struggle Jennings. The next time he came back, hip-hop with a Beautiful Polished Terrible Event. In 2017 he didn't have a single box to the music business, didn't stay in. Know what to do with him on the radio, didn't know what playlists to give him on platforms for streaming, couldn't label. Record companies didn't want to release his music. Take the chance it made him feel. He told Billboard in 2019 that he didn't feel like he belonged anywhere. I'm too country for hip-hop and too hip-hop for country for his country. He said it's like being not having a band. That rejection hit. He worked hard in 2018 and almost walked get away from all music. Then his life changed when he met Brantley Gilbert, the country star. Didn't just listen, Gilbert showed him the way to focus on what made him unique. Honor the country and keep the sound roots. That moment set Jelly on fire. Ballads of the Broken came out after Roll It 2021 and marked his big break into he had finally found his voice would be heard. But music wasn't his only fight. Behind the scenes, Jelly Roll was having problems with addiction, and it was 2024, and he talked about the worst parts of that fight back, and he spent more than $1,000 a year in 2012. Day of drugs, and then the overdose in July 15, 2013, heroin and fentanyl. Almost 3 Narcan shots were enough to kill him. After that he tried to bring him back. He was able to stay clean for 18 months if he got sober, but in 2015 he relapsed. He tried again in 2016 by going to a 90-day outpatient rehab. Was what he did in 2018. Getting help, but the cravings never go away. Then left in April 2023, just as his fame grew, the stress finally broke him. He fell back into old habits for 37 days in a row. He used drugs. He named them one of the worst times of his life, but on May 17, 2023, he chose to fight back. Since January 1, that day, he has been sober. 2025, he's been clean for 20 months 12. He has meetings and his wife Bunny helps him. XO have kept him in check. He has a chip with him everywhere he goes, and he inked his date of sobriety on his wrist in 2020 to make sure he doesn't forget. Jelly Roll's life changed in a way he never expected. As planned, on June 26, he put out a song. He was in a call called Save Me at the time. A dark place where his father had just died. The world stopped from CO-19. He felt people were wiping down while they were alone and stuck getting food and staying home, and Jelly, while Roll was in pain, he tried to figure it all out. He poured. Nothing was changed in that song. There was no fancy production, just raw emotion. It was felt by many. You could hear the truth in every word. The solo version went on YouTube and quietly took off. By 2025, more than 200 million people watched it. People came in and said, "Save me," help them get over their addiction by depression after losing a loved one. The song turned into more than just music. It saved his life. The sound of the song was also one of a kind. He sang country music, but Jelly Roll's hip-hop, some roots and some rock of soul. It didn't pretty much fit into any one type of music, and that's what made it unique. It reached fans of all types of music tastes. It even showed up on the hip-hop, rock, and country charts at the same time. That doesn't happen very often. All that attention began to turn heads and record companies saw. There was a big event on September 9, 2021. Jelly Roll made a big deal. BBR Music Group's Stony Creek Records. He wasn't smooth around the edges. 36 guy who had been to jail and built getting his job from the ground up. Looked like a typical country scene, but the name didn't matter. They could see his heart. They thought he had talent and made the deal. A huge $3 million for 3 albums, 5 years. It was one of the biggest deals ever made with a new country for Jelly Roll. It was the moment when everything changed. After years of having to work alone, someone finally gave up. After just 8 days, he was all the way through. On September 17, 2021, he put out his first album on the Ballads of Broken. It was honest and about itself. Each song sounded like it came from his a hard life. He sang about mental addiction, getting clean and taking care of your health. Country, hip-hop, and rock music came together. Like his story, 2 songs stood out. Death Note became the #1 movie. Son of a Sinner was #1 on the rock charts. Fans were moved by how straightforward the album made it to the top 10 on just the Billboard country chart. It got more than 100 million views in its first month. Streams. People did more than just listen. They linked up, but Jelly Roll didn't. He talked about what went on behind the scenes. Stories about social media sites. He talked to fans, he let them in. He made them feel like they knew him and were a part of his journey. Album critics gave it high marks also. They said it was one of the best, not just for the music, but because it was different. Things went really well for Jelly in 2023. Roll out his song Son of a Sinner #1 on country radio didn't happen overnight. It took almost a year to get to the top of the charts, but it meant everything to be there. It wasn't just music, it was his story. Was about going through pain and trying to do it. Was real, and people could feel it. Why it also got ranked 31st on the gold record on the Billboard Hot 100, getting more than 1 million copies sold for Jelly Roll. This moment was real to him. People in his life told him he didn't belong. Did drugs and was a rapper with tattoos. The past not really what country radio often plays, but he didn't pay attention to the doubt. He still made music. When his song finally made it to #1, he stood in front of a crowd and said, "Think about this, guy who grew up in this or going through town, a man who lived there for 25 years of his life doing everything wrong decisions." He wasn't just happy about a hit song. He was showing that you doesn't have to decide what will happen to you. Jelly Roll's path in country music has been packed with surprises. One of the most important was the link he made with Bryant Gilbert. They first worked together in June 2022 on a track called Son of the Dirty South, mixed Jelly Roll's hard-edged rap with Brantley's heavy. It was loud, rough, and country rock. Some people didn't know what to expect, but they loved that one song. Jelly Roll began a new thing and Brantley became real friends with. As a joke, Jelly Roll, and his music partner that he talks to Brantley most on the phone besides his wife. They kept writing songs together after that, and chose to go on the road. Son of the Dirty South was released. Summer Tour is a short 5-way run that began in Jacksonville, Florida, and got caught up in Brandon, Mississippi. At every stop, fans could feel the speed. Between them, it wasn't just they were having fun while performing Take the Fire Out of Each Other, but they didn't stop there. They worked together again in 2023 for a second time. Struggle Jennings for a song called Behind Bars. Made It to that song is from the album Jelly Roll's Wits Chapel. Country music of all kinds. It was a mix of rock and hip-hop. They are brave and honest, just like their fans didn't know that was going on behind the scenes. Brantley and Jelly Roll had begun to date, putting together something even bigger, a joint EP. They had been quiet since 2023, writing track after track together. By 2024, Brantley said they had enough songs ready to go if they put it out there. Change things up in country music. It's no longer just country, it's a mix of sounds, stories, and styles. Everything that Jelly Roll stands for, going against the rules and telling the truth. When Jelly Roll did things his way, he had in 2023, on November 8th, huge year. Something amazing took place. He won Artist of the Year at the CMAs. Was 39 years old, making him one of the oldest people who have ever won that award. When he stepped on stage and told everyone, success is on the other side, keep going, you could tell it meant a lot to her, to him. And just when it looked like just the right time to drop the award backstage, it broke. But instead of in the end, he laughed on TV after getting mad. Jokingly said the broken trophy was like how messy but real his life is. That same this year, his album Wits It Chapel came out. It wasn't just any album, it came out on June 2nd. To me, the title came from a church he went to as a child. Had a piece of his story. Songs that he wrote himself. Big names. Brantley Gilbert Laney also joined in. Wilson and Yellow Wolf. The album didn't come out for it broke records with Just Touch Hearts, became number 3 on the Billboard 200 and number 2 on the list of the best countries charts. That's a big start for a first album. There were a lot of songs that were about having faith and getting another chance. The reason was his daughter Bailey just picked to be baptized, and that really moved him. It made him write songs like Between Going to Hell and Dancing with the Devil. Reviewers gave the album good marks for how, but Jelly said it felt real and important. Roll didn't stop there. His 2023 When the Backroad Baptism tour got going, he did shows in 44 cities, which is another level, and each show was like a big party. The mix was what made the tour stand out. He didn't just play country music, he got Chase Rice, El King, and even 36 Mafia, and when he played it over at Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, there were 18,000 people there. Sold out everywhere. Then, as fans were, Jelly Roll is still taking a deep breath. He made more big plans public in 2024. On their way to Canada, but the real shocker when he said he was going to do a Post Malone went on a stadium tour in 2025. A country singer and a pop and rap star, that doesn't happen on the same stage quite often. It showed something important. Jelly Roll isn't just blending genres. He's going over those lines like a Jelly Roll hit rock bottom on August 17, 2022. He stepped on a scale and saw the number 563 pounds. That's how much he weighed. Being fed more than 10,000 a day. It wasn't just eating too much, he would sit alone as a way to deal with things. Watch TV and eat whole pizzas for hours. He talked about it on January 5, 2025. He admitted to it in an interview. Putting treats on his tour bus just so he could eat alone when everyone else was busy was sleeping. When the scariest thing happened on March 3, 2023, he ate 37. We ate chicken wings, 2 big pizzas, and drinks. After a gallon of soda, his chest became so painful that he gave up. Waking up in the hospital, that moment shocked him. He knew that something had to change. Came across a therapist who specialized in food addiction. He also checked out a nutritionist, but his fight with food wasn't new. Back, he once ate a wedding in October 2021. He ate a cake for 200 people, and after just 2 days, he admitted guilt made him feel very sick. Then on January 15, 2024, he walked out on stage. At Nashville's Bridgestone Arena there were 20,000 fans there. They started singing in the middle of the show and saw a lot of people and said, "I'm tired of being the big guy in country music. I promise to tonight," she said. "All of you and to myself that by this I'll be half the man I am now next year. Today." The crowd cheered, but they wasn't sure how bad he was the next he went all in that morning. Hire one trainer he hired 3, one for cardio and one for strength. He helped 4 people get better. He also added a sleep expert, nutritionists, and even a hypnotherapist lived in his house. Turned into a gym. He made a basketball court. There is an Olympic-sized pool and a very big sauna that his whole band could fit in. He changed what he ate in a way that unique. It was called the Nashville Hot. Instead of greasy fried chicken, the chefs made the chicken with lean. It had 75% turkey breast and strong spices. Less fat. That's what he ate 5 times a day, with low-carb vegetables and shakes made of protein that tasted sweet tea every day. He worked out really hard. He walked from 4:30 in the morning on 5 miles all the way around his house outside. Fans joined him by the time he was 70. Was swimming laps in the pool when an hour and a half of basketball drills in the afternoons. I did cardio and weights. Yoga and meditation were done at night. He didn't stop even when he went on tour. He walked on the bus's treadmill the exact same number of miles as he even things up between cities more with therapy at very high temperatures. He paid $50 for a cryo chamber. $1.5 million 3 times a day. Stood in it for 3 minutes at 230 degrees. That he was in a sauna that was 220 degrees for 20 minutes because he thought it would help him 3,000 extra calories every day. Doctors told him it could be dangerous, but he did it anyway. He didn't try to hide any of it and kept going. He put everything online, including weigh-ins. It was all there, progress pictures, blood tests, and more there. On March 3, 2024, he put up a video of himself in jeans from high school. He cried after seeing that video. More than 50 million views in one day. It began something known as the All Over the World Jelly Roll Challenge. Fans shared their own stories as well, and goals. By June 2024. Only 6 months in, Jelly Roll had already lost his way on his journey to 150 pounds. It wasn't just the weight that shocked everyone, it was how fast and how much his body had changed. So much had changed that he had to back out. Tour dates.